second. Yes. Oh, and we are live.
We are live.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone who's tuning in today, and a warm welcome to the 8th episode of The Future of HR by Jobelon. Our live stream series here, you're probably most probably tuning in from LinkedIn. I am your host, Sophia, and today we have not only one, but two very exciting guests joining us today. So we have Niklas here in the one corner, Niklas Busck from Life Inside. And then I see you from you're underneath me.
I'm down below
Same for me as well.
My
Yeah.
view as well. Yeah. Always down below.
Always.
Yeah.
And you're the co-founder of Oddwork.
Correct. That's correct. Yes.
How are you guys today, and where are you located? It looks like you're in the same office.
Yeah.
It would be
Charlotte's
pretty
right
funny
behind
because
me. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like if no, we're not in the same office. In fact, it just looks.
Oh.
We are. We are in the
same,
same.
yeah.
We are in the
I saw
same
the
office.
lamp, so I thought it looked a little bit similar. So I thought,
Yeah,
maybe you
yeah,
are.
no, we're in the same office. We're in the Odd Work headquarters today, as Life Inside and Odd Work belongs to the same group. So we're currently at the headquarters in Gothenburg. So that's where we are right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And you're feeling good?
What do
Yeah.
you say, Niklas?
Great. I'm feeling great. I'm excited
Yeah.
for this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a funny time, like 4 p.m. It's kind of after that, like dip, the 3 p.m. dip.
Yeah. I have my
but I
coffee
feel-
mug here, so
that's
yeah.
that actually solves everything.
Yeah, and I mean, so because yeah, no, as you say, I mean, many sort of live stream webinars, they tend to be over lunch, right? So I mean, it must have been
Yes.
something that you've tried and decided that 4 o'clock works well as well.
Yeah, we're trying it out, so hopefully
Cool.
people are tuning in. It's interesting to try it because it's usually what you don't expect
Yeah,
that works the best.
yeah.
So we're trying out different times to see, and also people are tuning in from different time zones as well. So
Yeah,
Of
of course.
that's also something to have in mind.
Yeah.
If
But
it's
I
good,
just
so
wanted,
then we know that we are sort of like the lab rats here.
Yeah.
If this
exactly.
hour of the day works well, it will be credited to Jobadon, and if it doesn't, it will be on us. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Exactly. And we'll also record this and put it online. So in case 4 p.m. is not a good time for you, you'll be able to see it and watch it afterwards. So I just wanted to mention, though, before we start, for everyone who's tuning in right now, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves in the comment section below. And if you're during this conversation want to share your thoughts or have a question to today's guests, feel free to reach out and we'll make sure to answer you throughout this session. So I just wanted to, before we start, just to give a little quick brief on today's topic. So everyone heard of the term like the war of talent. And I think a lot of recruiters out there have felt more pressure, especially after the pandemic, when we're living in a new type of world where it's harder than ever to attract the right talents and also to keep them. And so the way we used to work and also used to work with our employer brands are changing. And actually, I just hold a lunch talk, an inspirational talk on, and I mentioned a little bit about employer brand and the fact that big corporate brands is not really enough anymore to only have, this attractive logo. People want more than that, and they base, a potential employer based on like the culture and like different types of like other things than we normally used to look at.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the question really is, so how do we strengthen, how do we modernize our employer brands and to then, of course, attract the best talents.
Yeah.
So luckily we have two experts here in the field that will help us navigate in all of our questions and how do we create an employer brand and then get good results from it.
Yeah.
But before we, I think I said that twice now, but I just wanted to for you guys to introduce ourselves a little bit more and life inside and Oddwork, and then how you're working with employer brands.
No,
So
of
if we
course.
start with, yeah,
Yeah, please.
we can start with you, Charles. Do
No,
you
all good.
mind?
I figured it could sort of make sense as Odd Work and Life Inside our sister company. So,
Perfect.
yeah. So I mean, so Odd Work, we're an employer branding agency. We started out as a recruitment company, not ever, I think, imagining that we would one day become an employer branding agency. But we were a company, a recruitment company that just like so many other HR professionals out there, like really try to understand like how can we attract, recruit, and retain the best talent. And if you're a
Mm,
recruitment company, the employer brand of such an organization becomes a driver for the entire business. If you are a recruitment company with a bad employer brand, you don't really have any services to offer because you will not attract talents to present to your clients. So we just started to focus very much on developing our company culture, on communicating it to the outside world, in social media, and all those different sorts of channels. And what started to happen about 7 years ago now, 6 or 7 years ago, was that initially it was recruitment partners, clients of ours that reached out and asked us for support when it came to employer branding, to be able to attract, recruit, and retain, not just within our recruitment operations. So since then, we've had a pretty quick development as an employer branding agency. So we support employers of all different sizes, from very big global employers to much smaller companies, and being able to attract, recruit, and retain in the best way today. So yeah, I'm head of employer branding at Oddwork, so in charge of many of those partnerships and dialogues, and just happy to be here today and discuss this in this sort of context as well.
amazing.
Niklas.
Yeah, thanks.
We're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. So first off, yeah, hi, and my name is Niklas, and I work as head of sales at Life Inside. And as Charlie said, it's a sister company to Oddwork. And I would say that the idea of Life Inside came to life because, as you were mentioning in the beginning, Sophia, that the candidate market happened. We know that the research candidates are doing today is more in depth than ever before, when they're like researching a potential new employer. And while doing this research, we see that candidates, they do want to get a clear and honest picture of the company culture. We want to get
Mm,
authentic insights. And on the other side, we have companies who tell us that they do have a challenge in effectively communicating their culture and their employer brand to the candidate market in an authentic way. So I would say that when you combine you can say the communication gap between employers and candidates together with the latest employer branding trends, that is when you get Life Inside. So it is a video platform together with a video widget that presents itself on your career site and job ads and landing pages, with employees authentically video replying to questions about life inside their organization. So
right.
yeah, and I actually, if you don't mind, I've prepared a video to just like
Yes.
demonstrate what it really looks like, and yeah, it makes more
Yes. Put
sense
it on
since
the
it's all
screen
about
here.
it is all about videos. It makes sense to share a video. I figured. So
Exactly.
yeah, so here you see a Volvo's career sites, and this is many times what most career sites look like. We try to convey the culture in a clear enough way, but the challenge remains to when you think about all the different candidates that visit your career site will have different questions they would like to get answered before they decide to apply or not to open positions. So as a candidate, it is difficult to distinguish what makes this company culture unique compared to the other 10 companies that I'm reviewing at this moment. And here you
Mm,
see a job ad as well. It was actually you, Sophia, who explained to us that job ads have almost looked identical for over 100 years. It's mostly text and
exactly.
not very engaging. And this can also many times be the like first touch point a candidates have with a company, the job ad. So it's mostly text, and it's not very engaging as a candidate to get to know about the company only in this way. So we thought about how we could bridge this and instead let the employees be presented at the forefront of the employer brand and that culture. So yeah, so Life Inside, as you'll see, I prepared Avinode group here. So here you have the Life Inside widget in the left-hand corner. So you get to meet actual employees working at Avinode, answering to all sort of different questions. And there's no limit on questions. There can be questions about, as we see Mandy here answering the questions, what are you working on right now? There could be questions about what's most challenging in your role, let's say software developer, or what are you working on right now, etc., etc. So this allows candidates to like get an authentic look inside the company. And we often say, let's just imagine to, as a candidate, get the possibility to interact with the future, or your potential future colleagues in this way. If you were to apply for positions within Avinode or Starship, as we see here, also presenting their own employees at the forefront of the candidate journey, basically. So yeah, you see like employees answering all sorts of different questions, and they can, as I said, questions about anything really. And here we have Blockit as well, and the widget doesn't only have to be presented at the career page. You can also add the video widget to job ads, as we talked about. So here in the background, you see Knowit, who are using Life Inside to be presented at the job ads. So based on what they are hiring, and here you see Kobe as well, based on what they are recruiting for, they have relevant videos on that specific job ads. So they could be like questions about, tell us more about the recruitment process, or who are we looking for, etc., etc. And besides the video widget, we also have a link into a video library where you get to see all the employee content from that organization. So we refer to this as Netflix for candidates, which means that you can easily like browse on areas and topics that interest you the most. So you get to meet or get your questions answered that you have before you apply for open positions, basically. And just to like quickly show you as well how you actually create and manage all these videos, this is the platform. So when you want to send out a new video request, all you have to do is just click new video, and then you type in the question and type in the person's name and the job title that will be in the video. And then all you have to do is just add the person's email address. You can also send out video requests via SMS. So you just type in the person's phone number. Then you send them an internal message like, hi Jasmine, would you be able to, whatever the question is about, answer the question. And then the last thing you do is you add relevant video tags based on what suits the video. Once you're happy, then you just click send SMS and email to the team member, and the employee will receive an SMS and email where all they have to do is just pick up their phone, answering to the question that has been sent out using like the built-in camera app that you already have. So once you're happy, you send it back to Life Inside for approval, and you as an admin get to review all videos before they are just being published to your career site or job ads. So if you think it looks good, you just click approve video, and then it will be ready to go live. And once you want to take the actual video live, just click publish live. And we also built a feature that we call storylines, which basically allows you to have full control on what videos are being shown at what pages or job ads. So all that you have to do is you create a new storyline, as we call it, and then you paste in the URL of the job ad that you want to add specific videos to. And then you just select, based from your video library, you select the videos that you want to add to a specific job ad in this case. And once you're happy, you can either have randomized video order or choose in what order they will be presented at the actual job ad. And then you just click activate. And if we take a look at the job ad, here you see like the Life Inside widgets being published on a specific job ad with relevant videos based on what you are recruiting for. So that is how we are also allowing our clients to have full control on what videos are being shown at what pages. And we also figure that it's important to like keep track of how your videos are performing in real time. So that is why we have the analytics built in as well. So that is how it works. And we're also seeing clients like using Life Inside not only on career site and job ads, but also on their homepage, as we saw Castra just there. So yeah, that is what it is. It's designed for simplicity, and I think it allows our clients to build the employer brand in a professional and personal way towards the candidate markets.
And it's
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's
yeah. No, please, Sophia, go.
oh no, I was just gonna say it's like you mentioned in the beginning in terms of authenticity, and I think that's a major struggle for companies because it's one thing to write about the fact that we have a ping pong table
Yeah,
or we have free breakfast on Fridays, but how do you really transmute or really try to get us help candidates get a sense of the actual culture? People want to dive deeper than that, then I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful way to easily showcase what it's like to work in that specific company.
Yeah, and I think you're right as well. And I mean, and also because it's really cool like that employer branding has like come to this point, and it's interesting because like when we listen into, and maybe you have the same in Jobland there, Sophia, but like listening into our clients and like how they like the differences between employer branding and just regular consumer marketing. And also like budgets, they are different. Like you always have higher budgets on your marketing side than on your HR employer branding side. That is just the way it is. So I think like this we know how important it is for employees today to show a transparent and authentic piece of themselves, like because that's what candidates are looking for. And it's just really fascinating, I find, that employer branding has also come to this level of like authenticity. And I think that we are also so used to this now, just due to video and like the way we're sitting here right now. Some of us are in offices, some are home, some are different locations. So authenticity is a major trend within employer branding right now. And I do believe it's here to stay as well.
Yeah, I definitely believe so too, and especially new generations are stepping into the labor market and they have a different idea of what it means to be working and what they find attractive in their future employees. So the idea of what, like we mentioned in the beginning, what people actually want is different, and younger generations are also more aware of bigger societal problems, and they're more global than ever, and they want that to reflect the workplace as well.
Yeah.
So
And also, and I think it's going back to your question there, like Sophia, like so because it's quite interesting with employer branding right now, because although you see that many like proactive organizations that just like straight off the bat understands employer branding, that employer branding is part of the overall company strategy. Those companies are really like developing their employer brands right now in a really exciting way. At the same time, you have those other companies that have at many times not even started working with their employer brand in a structured way. And especially after these 2 years that we've all had with the pandemic, where we see from our data and insights that candidates have more questions than ever before. Like it's very natural now for many candidates to really want to know, well, do you work in a hybrid way on location or not? What's the leadership like under those circumstances? What will my colleagues look like or be like? So the rate of questions being asked have only gone up. And of course, if we are an employer that wants to attract, recruit, and retain in the best way, we have to facilitate or create an employer brand where we reply to those questions in different ways. So it's a major change and shift right now, which is exciting.
it's super exciting. And what kind of rewards for companies who are listening in that are working with their employer brand or about to start working more in a structured way with their employer brand? What kind of rewards can you like get out from structuring your employer brand and creating a strong employer brand?
Yeah. I mean, so I think like when normally like when we sit down with companies, if it's company that reaches out to Odd Work and just they have this feeling that we have to focus on our employer brand, but we don't really know where to start. It's sort of like starting to say we feel that we want to start with marketing. Where should we start? I mean, like there are many roads to take, and
It can be an overwhelming thing as well to be like,
it can be
whoa.
very
Yeah.
exactly. You're quite right, and now you're quite right. And I think that like many companies, would start out, like, depending on what kind of company you are, but would, start out to maybe understand, okay, well, we have to provide a good, candidate experience when applying to us. And maybe, that's when they reach out to you, a job alone, for example. But if you look at it like in a bigger way, what we've learned throughout the years is that you have to be very thorough and clear to companies that employer branding is a necessity to reach your strategic goals. And why is that? Well, because, like I said, all companies have strategic goals, right? They will be different strategic goals. Some companies are their ambitions are to expand to new markets or into new business segments. Another one is to move towards different industries, so just grow where they are, or whatever it might be. All companies have different strategic goals, and if those strategic goals are impacted by which employees you have in your company, what kind of seniority, majority, competencies, you have in your teams to reach those goals. If those goals have an impact based on that, you're in employer branding. Then you have to understand that, well, okay, so if these are the people that we need to attract and recruit and retain to reach our goals, how do we communicate towards those candidates that we are looking for? What do we do? How do we structure our employee or employer offer or employer value proposition to those candidate target groups to make them feel attracted and engaged in being part of what we do here? And that's when employer branding comes in. So the values are many, and we see that especially now. I believe that those companies that have kept on focusing on employer branding over these, especially last 2 years, they have a major head start ahead of other companies that have not focused on employer branding to the same degree.
Right. That's interesting, and it's as you're kind of saying without saying it, it's a long-term work. It's a long-term effort. It's not something that you do for a week and then, wow, you're communicating with the right talents. It's a long-term, exactly like building a brand. The same thing goes with building an employer brand. Exactly. And like you said as well, these 2 years, we've gone through the great resignation where more people than ever globally have resigned from their jobs. So a lot of movement is happening, and that's a big opportunity as well for companies to take the best talents out there. So, like, in terms of trends, what do you see is influencing how candidates today are choosing their next employer, and what's important for companies to have in mind when communicating with potential candidates?
Yeah, sure. So if I can start, I think we, as Charlie mentioned, as we talked about, but the questions that candidates have these days, there are so many questions that they want to get answered before they are applying for open position. And as we talked about, like hybrid or remote working is crucial and a great selling point to attract new talent into the business, I would say. And also, has been since the pandemic, but there is no time anymore to just sit back and relax and wait for candidates to apply to you. You have to be proactively recruiting if you want to find enough people to fill the roles that you have. That means that you have to embrace like recruitment marketing tactics. There could be targeted career size. There could be employer branding content to build a robust talent pipeline ahead of your hiring demand. So always be like proactive, and also that you have to clearly communicate your culture to the candidate market, because we know that a lot of things have changed, and if you embrace change, that is also a selling point to candidates, that you see that employers are indeed changing. They are adapting to what's happening around them. So if you can clearly communicate how you're changing to the candidate market, that is also a very great way to attract the top talents.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's also thinking in terms of authenticity. Do you have other, like when you've been working with your clients, do you have some kind of success story? Do you have like, oh, we did this and then this happened?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a great
You're like
question.
all of them. All of them.
Every single one. Right?
Yeah, every single one. But it was quite fun, because in the beginning it was mostly questions about what's most exciting in your role, and only talking about the positive, even though it's authentic via the user-generated video aspect. But now we're seeing clients like being more open and answering questions like, what's most challenging in your role? What are some like difficulties we are experiencing right now, etc., etc. And we do see that, because we know as a candidate that not everything is like perfect at the employer I'm researching. I want to get like the real insight. So we do see a trend in also communicating not only the positive but also the challenges that you have at the moment. And I think that is very cool to see actually. And also as a result from our clients, like using these videos and letting their employees be presented at the career sites and job ads, but the internal engagement has increased as well, because they feel like this is a very concrete way to help our employer to attract more qualitative candidates, because we do want to work with colleagues that inspire us. So if I can help my employer in attracting more relevant candidates, there's also like an increasing of the internal engagement.
And I also think like it goes back to authenticity, right? And if we just like try to find an example, but for the consumer brand instead, like, you know, if you imagine that hotel that you are thinking about booking a hotel night on, and you know every single thing that you read about that hotel that they have published themselves is positive. Every single thing. We have the
Always.
greatest garden, the pool's, it's a perfect pool. And, you know, like you will be happy every single minute that you're here. And, you know, like it's not trustworthy, right? I mean, like as consumers, it's just simply not. I mean, that is why we have review sites and and also like the hotels in that example themselves, they realize that. But if we look at job ads, as you mentioned there, Niklas, or in a general manner, you know, career sites in general, or how we portray ourselves as employers, everything tends to be happy-go-lucky all the time, which is to a great extent like we come to reach a point now in the candidate market where candidates behave just like consumers. And why is that? Because they are consumers 95% of the time, and candidates 5% of the time when they are looking for a new job. So maybe 2%, you know, so it's the same kind of consumer behavior that goes into candidate behavior today as well. So that level of authenticity is really fascinating because it runs through, it kind of like permeates, you know, all touch points, you know, to be honest and authentic about, you know, of course, like your offerings and what's great here, but also, you know, like what are actual challenges that the company is facing right now? Like what are some challenges in your role as a customer service agent, for example? You know, like that speaks to people because it's trustworthy. So that is something that we do see. And one, just connecting that to your question, Sophia, about success cases, when we have conducted projects and campaigns, etc., for clients where, you know, that kind of level of authenticity is communicated, and we can, you know, due to social media, we can A/B test those campaigns in comparison to, you know, general employer brand content with, you know, happy smiling employees high-fiving themselves. It's really cool because, like, you know, CTRs, click-through rates, etc., they are way higher when it comes to that sort of authentic content. So just like to you know, your audience listening in here today, I believe that, you know, it takes guts, it takes some bravery to, you know, say that, hey, you know, we should actually like be more authentic and also communicate, you know, what's both great and challenging here. But that's not really what you do on the consumer marketing side of things. It's not like you say, you know, like this is a great phone, but if, you know, after, you know, so and so, the battery will be really bad, in fact, you know, like, so it's different psychology in employer branding and consumer marketing, but that's a fascinating part of it.
That's a very interesting reflection, and I really agree on. We talk a lot about how the job as it's actually an ad, and doesn't have to look the way it has been looking for the past 100 years, and we're leaning more into the B2C kind of way, just like the customer journey, the candidate journeys, like they're merging into one. And that's why it's so important in terms of like how the job ad is structured, and that's a credibility thing as well. So you go in and buy a pair of shoes at Adidas, and you don't even think about, like, you know it's a good brand, the shoes will fit, like you don't think about it twice. You go there because they worked on their brand. And the same thing goes with employer brands. Like, the more of your budskap in English, your
Just like your messaging, or
messaging.
Yeah.
Your messaging. It's the thing when you're mixing languages sometimes and you're thinking about it in the wrong language. It's like the more you've been effectively communicating with that your right audience, the more, or the less they need to think about that. Because if they went into your job ad and they saw the people that work there showcasing what it's actually like, the good and the bad, you don't probably have to think twice, because you're already built up an idea of what it's like to work for this company.
No, you're quite right, and I think that, like, you described really well, and that's where, in many organizations at present, apart from like the proactive ones, and they are becoming more and more for every week or month that goes by. But in many organizations, we see that, like, the idea and understanding of the importance of employer branding kind of, like, that wakes up when you realize that, hey, like, okay, seriously, like, why is no one applying for open positions anymore? Like, like, we really see, like, our talent acquisition results going down. Like, why is this? Like, maybe we should focus on employer branding. The challenge with that is that employer branding works exactly like an ATM. So, you have to make deposits into the ATM if you want to make withdrawals. So withdrawals is when, you publish a job ad and say, hey, come and apply for an open position with us as a company. As a candidate, you'd say, like, okay, don't know about you, never heard of you, don't understand, like, what you're all about. Nah, I'll go to the other company that started working with their employer brand, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago. I've seen a couple of posts from them. They popped up in my, social media. They ran a live streamed event that I kind of, checked into a while ago. That sort of thing. So the ATM example is quite a, like, literal one. Like, it's a visual one that you have to balance. The deposits with the withdrawals. The deposits being the employer branding activities and initiatives. And then, as you say, so when that company in that example that has focused on its employer brand does go out to recruit, they will statistically attract much more, both in a quantitative way and a qualitative way, candidates, quite simply. So and that is, I think, like your example there with Adidas, like, that is more and more companies understand that kind of same methodology has to go into the employer brand of things as well.
And
employer brand is indeed.
Yeah, sorry.
You don't agree, Niklas?
Yeah, I don't agree.
All that you said. No.
No. What are you talking about? No, but just to add on the job ads, one cool thing that we have actually seen based from our clients, like adding the Life Inside widget to their job ads, which allows like the employees to reply to relevant questions based on the job ads. We have actually seen an increase on conversion rates where Life Inside widget has been activated on job ads. So that is also a very like clear way that when you are being authentic and providing like the real insights to the candidate markets, you will get more. Your conversion rate on your job ads will increase. So that is a very cool thing that we've seen actually.
And that's an important thing to mention, because I think a lot of, especially because it's such a long-term work to indulge in, that like there are benefits to it, even if it's not, instantly it will come, and it's worth the work.
Yeah.
So I see that we're kind of running out of time, but I really want to ask you one last question before we leave. I want to have a little bit of a futuristic focus here. So for all the companies that are tuning in today, what do they need to have in mind to stay ahead of the employer branding game now when we live in a fast changing society, world of work?
Charlie?
Well, staying ahead of the employer branding game becomes a question of sort of like comparison. I think like one of the best exercises that one can conduct is to do an exercise where you go through the candidate journey into your company in comparison with your top 5 or 4, you decide for yourself, competitors. So say, for example, I'll just take one example. You're an IT company. Say that you're in Stockholm, Gothenburg, London, Milan, wherever you are. You're attracting primarily, that you have to attract, say, IT talent or copywriters or whatever it might be. Now, like, imagine stepping into the shoes of that candidate, with the questions that she or he is likely to have before deciding to apply or not apply, and go through, the career site, social media, job ads, is there, about us career site or, life at company A on the company's website, and, question yourself, like, honestly question yourself, like, do we portray a clear picture about what we offer here? Now, do that first with your company, and then like look towards the, say, then 4 or 5 competitors that you feel that you have in this space. Maybe, straight away that, those guys, they tend to recruit the same kind of talent, or, just companies that you look up to in your industry, because that's most likely companies that the candidates are looking up to as well and are thinking about applying to. And you do the same journey and see if they do something different. And if you feel, they are doing this in a much better way, then they are probably ahead of the game in that case.
Right.
And maybe you can pick up inspirations, etc. It's a really just easy way to, like, in an honest way, because it's so easy to, like, just focus on yourself. But for candidates, it's not just you that is out there as a potential employer. It's those other companies as well. So I would say that to stay ahead of the employer branding game, do your, like, competitor analysis and draw conclusions from that. Niklas, what would you say?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, follow up on that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I of course totally agree, and I think that you always have to work on, like, your internal employee brand because it will show on the outside. And once you've done that, you need to find creative ways to communicate to the candidate markets. You need to find, like, new ways to how to portray your culture, and also that you cannot communicate the same thing to all the different candidates that you want to attract. You have to, like, have targeted communication towards, because all the candidates will have different priorities. So you have to do your analysis in order to do, like, a great work going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 super concrete tips to bring to the table when you're discussing how you have to, or how you can navigate the employer branding game and how to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Amazing. So before we say bye for this time, I know you guys have a little gift for the people that are tuning in.
Yeah, so
Niklas, your
yeah,
gift, right?
yeah. So, like, it's a thing we have in Sweden.
It sounded like it was gonna be
summer
like
present.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have, like, a special gift for every attendee joining us here today. So I think we've shared a link in the comments section where you can just sign up to request a meeting, basically. But what it will allow you to get to try Life Inside. You get to try it out for free for 1 month. And then there's, like, no strings attached. You can just try it for 1 month and then decide if you want to continue using it or not. So if you just sign up via the link that has been shared in the comment section, you get to try it out for free.
Perfect. I can see now that for some reason I'm unable to share the link, but I'll put the link down below as soon as we're finished. So you will find it on our business page.
Great.
Beautiful.
So I feel like we just got started. There's a lot more to touch on when it comes to employer brand. It's super, super interesting. And thank you so much for being here and taking your time and sharing your valuable insights on a topic that is fundamentally important for business growth. Essentially, it's not always only about attracting and retaining talents. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, you're quite right. Yeah. No, thank you, and thank you for inviting us. It's been great, and thank you also for providing the platform for your side, because we know that Jobylon is really focused on this and the way you're developing your platform and product. Yeah, great chat, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys. I'll see you soon, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.